those decks back a little bit, but you can do that later.
Yeah, that's not so.
So you're ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, you're officially on the clock. Start.
We had World War I guns, and it's by me, Brayden, Ethan, and Luke.
Then we got some nice pictures right here. West Nagant, Springfield.
Guns.
The complete and utter project of guns in school. If that tells you anything, that is awesome.
So how we have this set up is we're going to show you the bullet action rifle for each of the main countries during the war, and also their standard machine gun.
And I'm going to do a rundown of just a simple bolt action rifle. And the bolt action rifle was the most commonly used gun. So right here you have your barrel, your stock, trigger, trigger guard, bayonet, muzzle. Then there's your iron sights. That's about it. Then your bolt, but
This was the first major war that all the sides used bolt action rifles, and it gave like your average infantry guy like a better capability of what he could do. So he could fire, instead of like 3 rounds a minute, he could fire like 60 or 70 rounds a minute, and that put a lot more lead in the air and was a lot less fun to be infantry. So the Russians used a Mosin Nagant, and it was an older rifle, but it saw action in like the Russo-Japanese War in 1905, so they kind of knew what they were doing with that. And then for their machine gun, they used, now not every single guy carried one of these around, don't think of it that way. Those things weighed 139 pounds, it would not have been a fun time. They had like, for every like 200 men, they'd have like 30 of these.
if that tells you anything, they're about $3,000 and you can go buy one if you want one.
Yeah, they're on the internet. You can actually buy those.
Whoa.
The British, and this is the British rifle that they use. They use the Lee Enfield rifles, and they were used in the First World War, like every other gun, but they were before and after. These were also used in World War II, and they had bolt action multi-round magazines, and they had 7.7 rounds. And the British machine guns. The British needed machine guns after the Germans used them in the Belgium campaign, so they made the Vickers Mk1 machine gun, and it fired a 7.7 round also.
The first French rifle was called the Lebel model, and it had a caliber of 8mm, but after 2 years it was replaced with the French Berthier, and the two guns shared the same caliber, but they decided this was a better gun.
Before you go on to the next slide, the French used the Sissy guns, and the calibers were very small. We use pistols with bigger bullets now, and that's why they didn't get the job done.
The French machine gun was called the Hotchkiss, and its caliber was also 8mm, and it was capable of firing incendiary.
Which
That means they caught on fire when they hit you. So it was really not a fun time.
This is American rifles right here. And this one's not really a rifle, but this is one that was vital in trench warfare. It's the trench gun. It is a 12 gauge shotgun, and it's pump action. Hit it again. And as you can see, it's not like the regular hunting rifle you use nowadays. It's got a different mechanism. When the shell pops out, this comes back because you pull that back and that goes down, sending another round in. And then they use the Springfield, and it was a 30-06, and that is a hunting rifle nowadays. And it's also bolt action, as you can see right here. And they use the same one as the British, which was the M1917 Enfield. It was a .303 caliber, and it was a bolt action also, right here. and they used the Krag. But this was a lesser known. Not many people carried this, but hit the slide again. But it's right there. It's just something that they really didn't use. Then we have American machine guns. Hit it again. And we have the Lewis machine gun, which is right here, and it fired 303 fully auto rounds. And then we have the Browning 30 caliber fully auto, but the older models were barely, and they were used, but they weren't as much as this because this was more of a portable gun. The Brownings were more of a mounted, and the newer ones that were portable or mounted, they weren't used much because they were invented toward the end of the war because they thought it was going to last longer. So it was used for about 2 months and then discontinued. And most of the guns used by Britain were used by America because they were allies.
Yeah, Britain and America were really close allies. They had a lot of similar stuff going on. They had the same helmets and stuff too.
And here's the M19. Alright, see that. Here's the M1917 machine gun. It's got the tripod, as you can see. You don't want to be carrying that around. And I'm pretty sure they dumped water in this.
Yeah, they're all water
Cooler. Yeah, if you looked at the Russian gun, it also had a little valve on the top that you dump the water into.
Because it was firing so fast, it would melt the barrel, and then it'll jam up, and it would not be a fun time.
Explodes.
So that was why they used the water.
Yeah. And the Germans. The Germans were the ones that pretty much were the first country to mass produce any bolt-action rifle. They used them against the French, actually, in 1871. So they knew how powerful it was, and they knew from the start that their infantry was going to have a good time.
This is a newer model, as you can see, though, and it fired a 7.92 round. This is probably a reproduction because I don't think guns from back then will look this nice. You can see it's really shiny, got some nice wood, more shiny.
Then the Germans were also the ones that said, hey, we have machine guns now, we should probably use those. And they were the first ones that kind of kicked off it being, well, they were the ones that made it a trench war, too. They stopped and dug in, and then they put machine guns everywhere, and the Allies just kind of played copycat with that. So everyone, the second they saw the Germans using machine guns, all the other countries scrambled to make them. So this was like the original World War I machine gun.
And here's a little water intake, and it fired the same round, so 7.92. But this one doesn't have the valve like the Russians. It's probably on the other side.
Yeah, this was called the most murderous gun of World War I because it killed a lot of people.
Because they sit there and spray back and forth, and people would be running at them. And if they didn't die because someone else shot them, usually the barbed wire would get them. But
The Austro-Hungarian rifle is called the Steyrmannlicher. It has a caliber of 8 millimeters, and there was over 3 million built. The machine gun was called the Schwarlus, and it also had a caliber of 8 millimeters.
and as you can see right there, there's that little cap that you unscrew and pour the water into. That one's a better example.
Alright, well with all these guns and stuff, they all kind of looked equal, right? So why wasn't, that's why the war lasted so long, it's because everyone had equal technology and tactics. And the technology was better than the tactics. One of these guns was way better than the way Napoleon did it, and that's how all the generals were acting. They'd make all their guys line up, but then it's a lot easier to shoot a big line of guys with a machine gun than it is with a musket, which they were used to using. So, pretty much they had a lot of dead bodies and not a lot of progress in the war. And we have a little video here. You're gonna have to go.
Look, actually.
It wasn't leaking.
Full screen, please.
back on the water real soon.
Anyways, there's a lot of stabbing after that, so I don't think you guys need to see that. But that pretty much shows that, you know, they just ran forward expecting like muskets and stuff like the old days, and then they got machine guns. And they didn't get very far. Oh yeah, and as you saw, the Americans were using the Enfields and the Lewis guns, and the Germans were using the Mausers.
And the reason he probably couldn't shoot, and he couldn't keep using the machine gun right here, is probably because it was overheating. I mean, it helped that it was raining, but... Alright, next
Alright,
slide.
Ethan, go into our group activity.
Yeah.
I have a video for our group activity before we do it.
Nobody knew about this, so it's kind of unprepared.
Yeah, we left the whole group thing to Ethan, so you're at his mercy now.
Oh my god.
Do you have some volunteers?
Alright, well we needed some volunteers. I think we needed, how many?
What do you need?
2 for Army Crawl.
We need 2 for everything, so you
8.
guys kind of have to volunteer, or we'll just start choosing.
How many total?
6. I think.
Need 6 total.
Well,
Six.
we have
6.
pulls, punches, push-ups.
I don't have to do any of those. I'm just gonna sit there and talk.
Alright, how about Dolores?
Are you serious?
Yes,
John,
we're
get up
choosing
here.
people, and Josh.
Wait, you
Bailey.
did?
Yes, for army crawl. You have to do an army crawl
Oh,
up.
alright. We can have multiple rounds. Alright, before we do Army Crawl, I want to make sure you guys know how to Army Crawl.
This is how to army crawl.
These guys are
Full
really
screen.
fast.
Usually you move their feet. They have something on the bottom of their feet right there that they don't have to move.
Alright, so who's brave in the audience that can demonstrate that technique? Well, how many times do you get up and
Army Crawl.
crawl?
It's one of a kind. Come on.
Robert, you just go.
Josh, pick.
Oh, alright.
Do it for me.
Josh, alright.
We've got
Good
two-
job, Audrey.
This is where we find out
So
who,
proud of you.
who wants to help out.
It's a race, and I'm gonna call it. You ready?
Where's the finish line at? Right here.
They have like 3 moves and then they're there.
Hey,
Alright.
you have to be touching the wall.
Notice they're doing it.
Hey, it's like this. Hey, you're crawling like this.
That's very
Yeah, you
true.
crawl like a baby and
Hold
you're
on.
shocking back.
Alright. Ready? Set, go!
Come on, Audrey.
Audrey won.
Woo! Good job. Okay.
Audrey's a winner. Alright, next we have pull-ups. We're gonna need the door, and I need 2 people.
That can actually do it. That's only you.
I need at least 1 person.
Braden,
One
I can't get
person
more than 3.
who's got some upper body strength.
Come on. Okay. If Audrey can get down on the floor and
Yeah.
any of you can try to pull it.
Come on, Dylan. Let's go.
I can do a pull up. I'll pull up.
Door stop.
No, go away from me. I'm not.
Love it.
Come on.
If you don't get a volunteer, then one of you needs to.
Alright.
Alright. Pull up. I don't know how many I did, but that's what you're supposed to do. But nobody likes to volunteer here because you guys are all dead. Alright, what else do we have?
We have push-ups.
I can't do a push-up.
Yeah, if anyone can do more than 4, feel free to come over here.
There we go.
Yeah.
Dolores is all
Who's
in.
gonna take on Dolores? Who's gonna do it?
Please
There's a
make
video.
this.
So you
Do I have to?
I know how to do a push-up. No, Braden, stay over there.
Logan.
I'll
Need
stand.
one more challenger for
Yeah, challenge you.
push-up versus Dolores.
Step off.
Come on, shy. Don't be shy.
Erica, you're the dunny.
Come on, Eric.
I volunteer Erica. She knows how to do it.
Let's do an act.
Oh man, that's
Oh,
good
hey,
form.
look.
That's good form, man.
Good form.
I know how to
I tell you what, look at this.
Alright, that's good.
Wait, are we racing this?
Oh my gosh.
Yes, race to 10. You're racing to 10.
I can't do them fast.
10 push-ups.
Hey, not girl push-ups either.
Yeah, man push-ups.
I can actually do it. Are we doing it this way or this way?
Whichever way you
Anyway, just
I'm doing it.
push-ups.
Brayden,
Man push-ups
I
too.
got this.
go, Erica. Let's
Gotta
go.
touch your nose to the floor.
Wait. When we say go, someone has to count her. I have to count her. All right.
Okay.
All right.
I'll see if it's
Ready.
nose to the
Set.
floor.
Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Erica's winning.
Woo! Good job,
Sometimes we
Erica.
go into overtime.
And then we have one more thing, because this is army training, people. This is training. We got crunches. Now, who wants to do those? Because I know someone wants to work on their abs. You and someone else. Matthew.
No, I want
Yeah.
to be a girl.
Come on, Matthew.
John. No, Dylan.
Come on, man, let's go swim with the
Dylan and
crowd.
John. Dylan and John. Dylan and John, come on.
Oh my
Come on.
gosh. Dolores.
If we get one person, I'll race
Oh
that
my
person.
god.
For fun.
Yeah, do the twins.
Twins.
Come on, you guys. Hey, you guys did tug of war last year. Come
Alright,
on.
twins, you got this.
Battle of the century.
This is, hey, there's nothing wrong with positive peer pressure like this. Let's go.
You guys can do it.
Positive peer pressure.
Here's a video on how to do crunches.
Yes,
Here's
it's
the video.
crunches.
Go and watch the video.
Caitlin, do it.
Alright, hey. First two.
You'll be alright.
Back your legs. You're gonna roll down slowly, one vertebrae at a time.
I don't like
Flat on the floor. Knees can be hip distance or all the way together, wherever you're comfortable. Thumbs behind the ears, fingertips support the head, avoid lacing the fingers, putting pressure on the neck. Elbows out nice and wide, chest lifts. Chest is open or lifting up. Crunching up slowly, and then releasing down. Repeating reps.
Logan fight.
Do my feet have to be on the floor?
Yes, they do.
If you want them to, you don't have to.
This. Wait, I just have to
Yeah, you can have them like
Is it a
that.
sit up or a crunch?
like this? Like
Yeah, you can have it like that.
You pick.
Alright, hey. Someone needs to
Racing
count her.
Okay.
Count her.
You're racing to 100.
Alright. No, 10. Ready? Start with your head on the ground.
wait.
Yeah, remember.
Ready?
Use those vertebrae.
Set. Go.
1,
2,
2, 3,
They're more
4,
than twins, they're
5,
competitors.
6, 7, 8.
9, 10.
Oh, they
Okay,
tied.
that's a tie.
Same time.
Those are easy. Okay.